Good afternoon. It's almost 12 o'clock and it's the La Tortilla live feed. And happy Christmas. We've survived Christmas. It's about this time of year that chefs and restaurant workers everywhere will be utterly exhausted. So let me show you the outside of the restaurant. Let me show you what Inverness is like today. There's the castle, looking a bit overcast. It's a bit of an overcast day. But it's actually been amazingly mild recently. It's actually been like 10 degrees and stuff, which is pretty warm for Scotland for this time of year. Do you think it could be global warming? John Tripney's on, good, and Halday's watching. I'm very happy about that. Because today at some point, Halday will be happy to hear that we have Silvercoast, or some members of Silvercoast, joining us for the paella. So we're going to have a bit of kind of a festive fun today. Festive fun paella. So let's go inside and I shall explain all. So today's paella is going to be a Silvercoast special. Silvercoast being the name of the guests that are going to arrive at any minute. I've been told that they've had difficulty getting here, so let's hope they do get here. It's going to be turkey and bacon, which I think is relatively seasonal, topical of the moment. And Kyle's watching now. I know that Kyle was in here last weekend, so I think he will now be back down on the south coast of England, enjoying the sun and beaches of Bournemouth, Southampton, somewhere about there. Anyway, so first thing I do, as always, is stick on the pan. We've got big pans. We can do paellas of enormous sizes. So if you want a paella cooked for 100 people, we can do that. We've done a wedding before. Kyle is happy that I'm correct, that I've remembered roughly where he is. Yeah, we've got paella pans in the restaurant that can do large numbers of people. We do events, we do sporting events, local sporting events like running events and things, and we get asked to come along and cook paellas for things. So if you require us to, we can do that. This equipment is very versatile. And you can buy this equipment from us as well. If you want to get yourself an interesting alternative to a barbecue, which could be this, then just let us know and we'll give you a quote for the price. So every Sunday I like to kind of show how versatile a paella is, and we do paella style dishes here that you would never get in Spain, but always with a kind of Spanish slant, always with an element of authenticity. Hey, Luca's watching as well. Luca, from the southwest of Spain, who is presumably in Inverness at the moment. So turkey and bacon, right? So let me the basic points about cooking a paella. We have a system in La Tortilla, a 3-stage system, and every ingredient can fit into one of those 3 stages. So stage 1, the sofrito, the base, is pretty much always peppers and onions. So I'll do that first. But before I throw the peppers and onions into a dry pan, I'm going to add some oil. We use palmless grade oil. Palmless grade oil is an olive oil. It's a low grade olive oil. So there's different kinds of olive oil. You know, there's the first press, which is the extra virgin, and so on. There's different pressings and qualities. They keep the best stuff for the best uses like salads, and then you get down to the palmless, which is still lovely oil. Olive oil is a healthy, nice oil, but it's not quite as good a flavour as the extra virgin. So let me just get these things in, and I think our guests have arrived over there. This must be parts of Silvercoast.
Hi, how you doing?
How many people are there in Silvercoast?
Yeah, there's 5.
There's 5. I'm Duncan, by the way. Aaron.
And Alistair.
And Alistair. Just have a seat, and I'll get this cooking, and then I'll come over to you and interrogate you about musical things.
Sure thing.
So Yeah, so the first thing is the base. So onion. Peppers, red peppers. I think I've already told the story many times about how important peppers are in Spanish cooking. Red peppers in particular. I mean, red peppers are what go to make pimenton, or paprika as we know it. There's different grades of pimenton that is made in different ways. Different kind of, there's sweet, there's hot, there's smoked, there's combinations of all those, there's different kinds of peppers. So there's a lot of qualities of paprika, and I would always recommend spend good money on paprika, because it has a massive change in the flavour. So the peppers and onions are in. That's your classic base. You might have tomatoes in there as well, and as I always say, we do add tomatoes occasionally, but if you add tomatoes, you're sticking 10 minutes on your cooking time. And of course you might want tomatoes in there for, obviously, for flavour reasons. You can do what so many chefs do, and if you want the tomato flavour, or if you want intensity of tomato flavour, you can add puree without having to wait for, because tomatoes need cooked out. That's a thing, isn't it, about cooking with tomatoes? They usually need a lot of cooking time. So so you can take shortcuts. There's a product in Spain actually called tomato frito, which Spaniards watching might be able to explain better than me. Luca, are you still watching? Explain what tomato frito is. My understanding of it is it's exactly that. It's to serve that purpose in cooking. I mean, I like cooking from scratch. Obviously I like fresh, homemade food. But there are certain shortcuts that I would say you need to take most of the time, like making stock. Stock takes a long time to make, so we use stock cubes, because that's a big, long job. And then there's tomato-based things like tomato frito. Now that's red peppers and tomatoes that have been, and I think maybe onions too, that have been cooked out for a long time, and they've been softened, blended, maybe even sieved in the case of some of the fritos I've seen, and reduced. And they're intense. So adding tomato frito to a paella, that would be an interesting thing to do. I could add that. If I was using that, I would saute this, and then I'd add the frito, and no time lost there really. Something that people always ask me as well is seasoning. So with a paella, we add the seasoning to the stock. So we know from experience how much salt to add to our stock upstairs. The stock will be coming down from the kitchen in a minute with the salt in it. Now that's quite unusual. The reason for that is because you normally taste something to adjust the salt. It's very hard to do that with a paella, because if I try and add salt at the end, all that's going to happen is I'm going to end up putting a dusting of salt over the top of the paella. It's not going to mix in. And I can't taste it when I've got raw chicken in it, or turkey. So if you're going to add raw meat, I'd add raw meat at stage 1. If you're going to add cooked meat, you add it at stage 3. Oh, here we go. Our local Spaniard has come back to us with some info. So if you look at the live feed there, you'll see what Luca's got to say. He's saying that tomato frito is sauteed tomato, salt, and olive oil. Just tomatoes? Are you sure, Luca? Just tomatoes? I was convinced there was at least peppers in there for a classic frito. But the tomato element is the important thing, because that's what takes the time out of your cooking. So the other thing I need to tell you is that we are on minimum heat. So we always start our paella on minimum heat, because I want to take the time to reduce this, and then when we at stage 2 where we have the stock, then we go to maximum. So I'll give this a quick stir, and then I shall go and find out what's happening in the world of the Silvercoast. Hola.
Hola.
Españoles. ¿Quieres paella? 20 minutos. Hoy la paella es
¿Pollo?
pavo. Por Navidad.
Claro, pavo de Navidad.
Pavo y bacon. Hoy.
Bacon.
Bacon ahumado.
Bacon ahumado.
¿Qué te parece? Qué bueno.
Diferente.
No, pero bien. El arroz se puede hacer con cualquier cosa.
Dile
Tú puedes...
que en España
Sí.
se hace con nuestro.
We make it with the rice in we are from Alicante. It's in the south of Valencia. So we make the rice with a lot of things. Yeah? Not like in Valencia. Valencia is a strictly paella is only in Valencia, but in Alicante we make the rice with mushrooms, with lamb, with a lot of things. Yes.
Perfect. I do this here too. I like to put all sorts of different ingredients
Yes.
in here. And different methods. Sometimes I use different rice even. Sometimes we do one here with smoked fish and curry powder.
Bueno, pescado ahumado.
You should, are you visitors?
No, just Mr. We are now. We will go to Tomatín, distillery,
Okay.
because I'm a bartender, and I won last year the world most experimental bartender glacerie. So in Spain, I am a very famous bartender. And Tomatín invited us to visit the distillery.
Well, you are in the home of whiskey, of course.
Yes.
And we have some amazing visitor centres for whiskey.
Yeah, I know.
You'll love that if you're into your specialist bartending.
Yes. No, I'm about. My wife is her first visit to Scotland.
Encantado. What's your names?
María.
Maria.
Y David.
David. So Maria and David. I like this. We have some Spanish visitors. You said you're from the south of Spain. You said.
Yes, Alicante.
South of
Alicante.
Alicante.
It's near. It's close to Valencia.
We have a map on the wall here.
Yes.
Alicante.
So down here. Okay. Okay.
Paella.
So are you actually in Murcia?
Murcia.
Yeah.
It's close to Murcia. Yes.
You're in the region.
Yes, Región de Murcia. I like it.
Okay. So you don't get that every week. So we happen to have some passing Spaniards. Are you stopping for a coffee?
No, thank you.
Thank
for having me.
Passing.
Sorry.
Okay.
Well,
Nice to meet you.
hasta
Hasta la vista.
hasta más tarde.
Your name is? I don't know.
Duncan.
Danke.
Duncan.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you. Bye.
Adios.
Feliz año nuevo. Chao. Adiós.
Okay.
That's my TV.
We're getting to the point here. I need to show you what point we're getting to here. So I thought it was a good idea there to speak to some of our Spanish guests. We do get, I don't know if you've ever been to La Tortilla. If you're watching this, you probably have if you're watching this, but we do get a lot of Spanish people in here, a lot of Spanish-speaking people in here. The name of the restaurant used to say above the door La Tortilla Asesina, and there used to be Spanish speakers taking pictures of it every day. And since we changed it to La Tortilla, we took the Asesina off because it was too difficult for English speakers. We don't get so many people taking pictures, but I think I'm going to put the Asesina back on because it's very amusing for Spaniards. Anyway, we've missed a stage there where I should have been speaking to Silvercoast, but I thought you might enjoy a bit of some authentic passing Spaniards. I need to show you this, right? So look at the condition it's in. The turkey is seared. it's not cooked, it's just seared, and I need to then put the stock in. And whilst we were speaking, the stock magically arrived, so that's perfect. When I add so it's stock, rice, and garlic in reverse order. So we have the garlic, which arrives in this form. And we have the rice, which arrives in this form. Calaspara rice. Spain produces its own rice. A not so often talked about fact. And all I'm going to do is mix in the stock, the rice, before I add the stock. I'm just going to turn it over gently and coat the rice in oil. And hopefully by the time I've done that and put the stock in, Silvercoast will have got themselves composed. They'll have got a coffee, and they'll be ready to answer questions about music. I'm deliberately being sort of cryptic and vague because I don't like to make it easy for them. So there's going to be some kind of questions about music. Obviously, I'm going to start off by testing that they are real musicians and not fakes. Actually, I kind of recognise you guys. I feel like I've met you before. These guys have turned up because they've got a relationship with Halde, the comedy guy. We have comedy here every Wednesday, and Halde arranged a charity song to be recorded. Now let me just get the stock in before I get too distracted. So he got the help of some musicians, including our very own Aidan here. Aidan there did some singing on it, and I believe I'm right in saying that it was based on the kind of Band-Aid concept. Yeah. I'm old enough to remember Band-Aid in its first version. A lot of people took the day off school when I was a kid to watch Band-Aid. That's how big it was. Actually, I'm quite amused at saying that. I've never said that before, but it's true. I'm amused because my father said the same thing about the day that that guy Campbell went for the world's water record on Loch Ness. People bunked off school to watch this man kill himself on Loch Ness. Perfect demonstration for kids. So people took the time off school to watch Band-Aid. Nobody died. Well, of course, there's a bit of an irony there, isn't there? People, of course, were dying at the time. So what is the charity that is benefiting from your work?
It's Mikeys Line.
Mikeys Line.
Yeah.
I've heard of Mikeys Line. What's their speciality?
They basically speak with people who have suicidal tendencies.
Right.
So anybody that needs to talk about anything that's going on in their life, and that's a great place to go to. Our doors are always open as well.
Just turn the heat up here, and then we'll talk about Mikeys Line. So that's the background to the charity song. It's a fundraising project using sort of local musical talent, I guess, roughly speaking. And it's for Mikeys Line. So it's a charity which contributes. That strange man waving away, that's my father, isn't it?
Oh, okay.
There's no need to be unduly concerned.
I waved back.
He hardly turns up about now. You know, the minute the food, he smells food and he's in the door. So how successful has it been, do you think, for Mikeys Line? Any idea?
The single, yeah, I think, it's been shared a lot of times, but it's certainly just over 1,000 shares or something.
Last time I checked, there was about 45,000 people who'd seen it, and it had raised over, I think, there about £1,600.
Oh wow!
So,
Oh, wow, very good.
But a lot of people did put from newspapers, Highland News, Courier, North Highland Radio. They did something on that as well. They played it, which was really helpful. I think helped with the exposure.
I've been a little bit rude here. It's just occurred to me I should have begun this conversation by getting you to tell our viewers. I mean, we've only got 16 viewers, as you can see, at this 17 at this exact moment. But the views after live are quite big on this, so it's worth, you know, it's worth getting that information on there. Yeah, maybe you could explain, you know, who you are and what the band is and that kind of thing.
Well, that's really down to Aaron, because I've only recently become a member of the band as of the last few months.
So Aaron's the founder member of the band, certainly.
He is 100% the founding member.
We started off tail end of 2012. So I've been going something like 5-6 years now, I think. 6 years. Yeah. Started off as just, you know, a wee thing to do. Met up with a couple of boys. Who introduced me to another couple of boys, and then we just kind of took it from there. And we've played a lot of really cool gigs. Supported Feeder in the Barrowlands.
That's good recognition.
That was a really big moment for us.
Very big for Aaron.
Why did something happen on that night in particular?
No, it's...
Aaron got his clothes ripped off or something, or is
well,
so something did happen.
No, I got into music because of Feeder. Feeder's my favourite band.
So they're a bit of an inspiration anyway.
Yeah. So
Okay.
to be able to support them was really cool. So.
That is good. And I'm going to ask you that question that all musicians probably hate being asked. You know, which is, I want people who are watching to get an idea of why they should go and look up your band. And so the question is what music you play? You know, what is your thing?
We've kind of gone through some genre changes. We've gone from, well, we started off kind of indie rock, and then we kind of went to alternative rock, and then we were kind of exploring something else. But I think now, well, probably what's coming up is probably best described as. Wait and see.
Yeah, since really the end of this year, or the last few months, we've started recording music that we're looking to put out at the start of next year. So in the next few weeks, I imagine. It sounds a lot closer now.
This sounds exciting.
Upbeat, jumpy, yeah.
I've got to confess. I mean, I haven't done my proper research and gone and studied you before meeting you, but I'm going to do that. And hopefully anybody else who watches will be intrigued by the concept of a band that has many kind of genre changes and generally kind of at the moment. I mean, it's a very hard thing to do, actually, to describe like what you're doing or what you're trying to do. But I think Inverness needs a very successful kind of how would you say, sort of, I was going to say pop music, but pop music is not the right word. But just a fairly popular style of music. One that's a kind of mainstream style of music. Because Inverness, of course, has got probably the more world-class fiddlers than anywhere else on the planet. But so in terms of traditional music, Inverness is well covered for talent. But in terms of mainstream music, Inverness is long overdue a very successful band, I would say. For given the size of the place, I think it'd be nice to see Inverness get some really successful bands. So you have an opportunity to and an obligation.
Yes, yeah.
And so have you got lots of good tours lined up in there, or gigs, or for next year?
There's nothing yet because we've been writing new material and recording and stuff like that. So it's literally just kind of we've been getting the head down and just focusing on that. And then once we've got everything in place, we'll get something sorted, get some gigs lined up and that. But yeah, I think in the past we've rushed things and wanted to just get out there, and so we've written like a heap of songs and then just been like, right, let's go and play them. But now we're refining the sounds and kind of going at it from like a different kind of different angle. So I think this will be a good adventure anyway. So we'll get gigs and that like that.
We're approaching the last stage in the paella. I'm going to go back to cooking for a second, and then I'm going to come back to you. Oh, we're going to do a question. What I didn't prepare you with is we normally do a question. We do a delivery paella every week. We do delivery paellas here, and you can win a free one if you answer, the first person to answer this question correctly. I believe that Aidan might have a question lined up. Based on the conversations I had with him earlier, I think he was about to ask you that what year was the original, and I mean the original Band-Aid performance, when
Release date.
released? Oh, the single.
Release date.
So,
Day and year.
right down to the day. Okay, so there you go. So, what was the original release date of the original Band-Aid single? So, the first person to get that gets their delivery paella. So I'm going to go back to we're just about approaching the last stage of the cooking, and then I'm going to ask Silvercoast about their cooking skills, and maybe ask them if they've got a minute to play a little piece of the aforementioned song or something. Something that just kind of proves they're real musicians. Yeah, because it could be anybody, couldn't it? We could have anybody on this live feed. So people always ask, how do you know when a paella is almost ready? And it's all about where the stock's at. So look at that. The stock is now at the surface of the paella, and it's getting very close to the point to turn off. So it's stage 3, last ingredient. So I would put the bacon on. Oh, I can see that Callum Anderson has been talking about the charity single. He's even put a link on there. So our friend of the restaurant, Callum Anderson, has put a link to it if anybody wants to go and check it out. See that in the feed there. Now, Claire McQueen has said Monday the 3rd of December 84. Somebody has said 3rd of December 84.
Who said it?
It was Claire McQueen.
Do we like Claire McQueen? Yes, she's right.
Yeah, Claire, your name is meets our approval, so therefore you are the winner. And it's interesting to notice that John Tripney has come out with the wrong answer twice. So, final ingredients: bacon. So this is thin, streaky, smoked, ready oven baked, which is the way we like to do our bacon here. Look at that; it's beautifully thin, easy to eat. So I'll just scatter those around. I've got to say, Michael, the chef in the kitchen that prepared the bacon, has prepared it to perfection. I'm a big fan of oven-baked bacon as opposed to fried bacon, because fried bacon, for me, is too harsh. It's too quick. It's too crude. You need to be slower cooking with your bacon. So I would say stick it on an oven tray every time. So there's the bacon bit, and finally the peas. And as I always say, peas are not a huge flavour, so they don't have a massive effect in terms of flavour, but visually very nice. You've got the reds and the yellows, the classic colours of a paella, and the green makes it more festive. So I'm calling that the Silvercoast special paella. I even asked Susan, our admin manager who posts stuff. I even asked her to start the rumour that Silvercoast like turkey and bacon, which is why we're doing this one today. But that, of course, is a fabrication. Do you both eat turkey and bacon?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh well, it was lucky then. Be terrible if it turns out that you were, anti-bacon. So there's how it looks now. And I just need a moment longer to let the stock go down to the desired point. Because like I said, you want the stock to just go below the surface of the rice. We'll give it a turn as well, because with big pans, nothing's very even about the heat or the fluid. So we'll just turn that around. My dad's poised at the bar. I won't show you him, but I think he's salivating, and I think we need to. I think we need to serve this up as soon as possible. So, Silvercoast, are I'm sure I saw a guitar. Yeah, there's a guitar there.
Yes.
Who's the guitarist in the band? Or is it multi-guitarist?
Molly guitars.
And is it possible to kind of do some kind of little reenactment of something?
Yeah.
What could we do?
I wonder.
Are you able to do? I mean, I don't know how easy it is for you to do the actual Mikeys Line one, or is it possible to do a bit of that?
Yeah, give it a bash.
I think that's the only one we can do right now. So we're prepared for.
Okay, well there we go. So if you're able to give that a crack right now, I shall tend the paella in the background, and Aidan will have to do some sound adjustment. There we go. Aidan, as ever, paying attention to what's going on. So if you want to help out with the Mikeys Line charity and this whole event, then there's a link has already appeared on our feed here. So if you click on that link, and you can find out more about this. And these guys are going to have a shot at doing something right now.
This is where I find out the guitar's falling out of tune in the car. Oh.
Yes, I mean this is not your normal setup for a performance, so I accept that they haven't had proper tuning time. Hello, 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 hello. You're just in time for a little performance. Here's your Merry Christmas tune.
Yes.
This is where I completely forget how to play this song. You ready? Okay.
Driving home for Christmas, Rockstar starts to show. Speeding cameras to make them well by with 112 to go. Gonna root good to the meadow and drive on up that hill. Know that Slumped in and he starts to tell me, oh, it's ChristmasNess. Oh, it's ChristmasNess. Oh, it's ChristmasNess. 'Cause ChristmasNess is the best. Right, let's go to the pub. Let's get rubber bumpered. Ah, you know yourself, but it's politics, so bring another jumper. I wonder if we're ever gonna make it to town. I think we're going round and round like the marbles in my mouth now. Every hour I pass by, shouting what's the crack like? Ah, you know I'm that guy. Tinsel round the head like jingle bells on the bagpipes. That's right. Walk through the islands, the lights are blinding eye. Look up the sky and see Santa flying by. Oh, it's ChristmasNess. Oh, it's ChristmasNess. Oh, it's ChristmasNess. 'Cause the ChristmasNess is the best. Oh, it's ChristmasNess. Oh, it's ChristmasNess. Oh, it's ChristmasNess. 'Cause the ChristmasNess is the best. ChristmasNess is the best.
There you go.
Awesome. Awesome. I mean, that was like a proper song, and there's quite an audience behind the camera here. You know, we even have Gabby here. Gabby, who's only 2, was gobsmacked. Well, there was you kind of managing my expectations so carefully with your kind of like, I'm not sure I can remember the words or the song or anything. That was actually really good. Well, can people actually see that song performed as part of your oncoming gigs? Is that currently part of your set list?
It's something we've considered. It's we're still in the we're still figuring out our live performance.
Okay.
Very good.
Yeah, very good indeed. So, traditionally at this point in the whole live feed, I will open a bottle of wine. I think being Christmas, I think I'm willing to kind of do anything at all in terms of drinks. Is there anything in particular you'd like? We can probably have any drink you like to go with your paella today. That's Jaeger bomb. Even a Jaeger bomb. I'm not even sure we've got a Jaeger bomb at the moment. Rosé? Okay, we'll go for that. Aidan?
Yes.
Could we possibly have some rosé? I think our usual rosé, maybe 4 glasses of rosé, something like that. The funny thing is, rosé is actually a really good. If you ever come in here for paella, go for a rosé. If you don't have any particular idea of what you want, go for a rosé because it goes really well with paella in general. So I'm just checking to see how it is. Gabby here, I know, is looking forward to her paella. As you can see, she's down there by the Christmas tree, just preparing herself. Is there paella for anybody else in the room? Shall I make up a few plates? Right, I shall serve this up. So traditionally, the guests, whether they like it or not, have got to eat some of this, and to get, you've got to. It's all about getting an honest reaction, right? With my lemons. And I'll need some buffet skewers as well, I think. Serve that. And the other thing I've forgotten is cutlery, as always.
This is like breakfast.
That's a cool one.
Brunch at Lottie.
Yes.
Okay, here we go. So let me show you a close-up as always. This is what you need to be eating. I think bacon is quite an original touch. Yeah, of course.
Tasty water.
You want me to take a photo of you?
Oh no, we're fine, thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
You never ever take a photo of me.
Right, so for the sake of the live feed, we'll do a little taste of this first of all.
No, I know my reasons, yeah.
So I'm going to put a little bit of this on it, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to pour us some wine. Oh, it's that one.
It is very mild. It's unbelievable. Should get freezing here.
So the wine we're choosing today is Conde de Valdemar. I know on the camera on this phone, everything is back to front. For reasons I don't entirely understand, I can't seem to change it. If anybody out there knows how to change the settings on my phone so that it flips it around the other way, I'd love to know how to do it. So it's a Rioja, it's a Rosado, it's a Rosé Rioja. So let's just see what characteristics that has. It tells us on here, if you want to know what in Rioja, whites normally have Viura grape. In the case of this one, it tells us nothing about the grape. Well, there we go. It might well be Viura, you never know. So some wine for you.
Thank you for not going full glass.
So it's a small glass of wine, just to keep things not too crazy. Have you had a busy weekend? There tends to be lots of social occasions this time of year.
Yes. We've been trying to mix in the recording of our next song with all the family matters that come with the festive period.
Very tricky. Well, it's very tricky.
It's working okay.
I mean, that is the thing, isn't it? I mean, it's actually finding the time to do your songwriting and your recording and your gigging in amongst life.
Life, yeah.
Is a bit of a trick. I normally well, just suck in and tell me if it works. I like to try whenever I'm doing these things. Here at Latte Tia, we're very very keen on matching food and wine. So I always love to try them separately and then together. Well, not that you could actually try them simultaneously together, but you know what I mean.
Oh yeah. That is nice.
So, thank you. So the rosé is also nice. Rosé is nice as well because it's not powerful. It's a fairly light, easy thing. It's smooth. There's no harsh aftertastes. There's none of the tannins that you get with some reds that are great for some food. And it's not massively high in acidity. So it should be good with it.
Lemon for sweet.
Yeah, lemon is a flavour enhancer. It's one of nature's own flavour enhancers, like salt. And I always have a rant about salt in this as well, because I think there's a big backlash to salt. I often say this on the feed, that I completely condone the use of salt, but not in ready-made food. That's the problem.
My girlfriend would be delighted to hear that.
Yeah, I think you should be concerned about your salt levels, but I think the area of concern is in ready-made foods. Just don't buy ready-made food. Cook your own food. Go to restaurants and cook your own food. Because restaurants is we don't put preservatives in our food other than your natural preservatives like salt and sugar, but we only do that in quantities that are relevant to the flavour. They're not relevant to shelf life. So.
expecting this at all.
Yeah, we should have said. I mean, we haven't briefed you on today very much. So you've done a great job turning up and putting off a good performance as well.
Well, we actually threw together that version of ChristmasNess this morning.
Wow.
So there's a couple hiccups in there, but we pulled through.
You did that professional thing that all musicians have to learn to do, which is to plow on through.
Wing it.
Yeah, it's an essential skill. You can't stop and restart. So, Merry Christmas to everybody. I know Christmas has happened, but let's say have a great New Year. We're fully booked in Latvia, so don't go calling for a table for tomorrow. But do call for a table on maybe the 2nd or the 3rd, when it's actually it's not so quiet on the 2nd or the 3rd. Somewhere around about the 7th is when it goes really quiet in the restaurant business. You know, the following week. So if you book a table for that week, then I'd be delighted to see you. Anyway, have a lovely New Year, and thanks for watching, and bye for now.